Okay, so this is Colonial America. As I mentioned at the start, this is the complete CO5 series of government papers from the Colonial Office. All of these files are held at the National Archives in London. And this resource basically covers the birth of, the rise of English colonial rule in America from 1606 right up to 1822. And it effectively constitutes all of the original correspondence of colonial governments responsible for North America and the Caribbean during this period. Now, this is an absolutely mammoth primary source project. We're digitising the entire CO5 series across 5 modules over 5 years. This has never been done before, never been digitised in its entirety. As I mentioned, the entire resource itself covers the years 1606 to 1822. Now we're just looking at Module 1 today. Module 1 covers, at its complete range, 1606 to 1793. And the bulk of that material is pretty much 1640 up to about 1755, I would say, is the bulk of the material. But some of the key subjects are in Module 1 involve the beginnings and the early expansion of English settlements on the East Coast, especially in places like Virginia, South Carolina, even Florida. The development of those colonial institutions within those settlements, as well as settler relationships with Native Americans, records of piracy, military material as well, covering the French and Indian War of 1756, as well as some more social life on the home front material, such as the rise of agriculture, trade and taxation within these colonies. So they provide absolutely imperative material on both diplomatic and political history of the time of the 17th and 18th century colonial America, but also life and the more social history side, and providing everyday life material on what it was like to live in these brand new colonial settlements in the early 17th century right through. So that's just a little bit of background. I'm just going to head to the document page here. And this is going to be just a central listing of all of the documents from Module 1. Now I just want to bring this drop down here just to give you an idea of some of the document types. We can see here there's letters, charters, orders to officials, books of correspondence, court records, land grants. The list is very extensive, and this will only grow as more and more of the modules are published. So we can see some of the document types there. We do index every single document in our resource with a theme as well. And this tends to help lower level researchers, or researchers who maybe aren't that skilled or have that much experience researching this particular area. So we try and index all of our documents to make sure they're as accessible for all levels of researcher. So we can refine by theme, and there's also colony and region as well. Okay, so that's that. Now let's just run a search. Let's run a really basic search for Virginia. There's some absolutely fantastic material in this first module about the establishment of English land claims and settlements in early 17th century Virginia. Now we can see here, actually I've run a search and it's returned a little bit too many results. So whenever a search returns more than 500 results, you do get the prompt to try and refine it. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to refine my search. Alright, and that will take me to the advanced search page. And you can see here that we can combine search values, we can stem our search values, enter a word proximity, we can filter by date, document type, theme, and the colony and region that the documents apply to. But what we're going to do is just refine by date. So I'm going to refine by 1606 to 1630. Run a search. So we're just running a search for Virginia based on those dates. So then we come to a bit more of a refined search results, a bit more manageable. So just to take you quickly through this search results page, we can see here the functionality is exactly the same as the full documents list. We can refine our search results by any of these. But we can also sort our search results as well by alphabetical title, by the date, the volume they appear in within the archive itself, and also any of these, so the archive reference, or the document type, for example. What I'm actually going to do is actually sort my results list by date. Date ascending. Now, it's this I want to click into here. So we've clicked in from our search results page and we come to a document details page. Now this is an overview for this particular document. It's going to allow us to get a bit more context about this document, maybe quickly flick through using the thumbnail view across the top here so we can quickly scan through the pages. Now using this page here we can also add it to our personal repository in case we want to have a look later. We can download the entire document to PDF, or download just a specific image range. As with all of our resources, you can download any of the images to PDF as long as they're for personal research or classroom use. So for any of those, please feel free to download them. We also have this citation export tool as well, in case you want to use any of this material when you're writing a paper. And one thing I should mention here is the really extensive metadata that you'll find on these document details pages. As the majority of the material in this resource is handwritten manuscript, I'm afraid that there's no OCRing available for this nature of material. So what we've done is gone through every single document and meticulously indexed every document, and the editorial team have done absolutely miraculous work on salvaging huge, boxes of material and indexing it where very little metadata has existed in the actual archive itself. So it's probably the most extensive metadata that this material has ever had, even more so than the actual source material in the archive. So it really is incredibly valuable. So I'm just going to use the thumbnail view across the top here just to quickly scroll through these pages. I'm going to click into this one here. So just a little bit of background about what this is. It's actually a correspondence book with miscellaneous letters, really, from I think 1485 is the earliest, right through to the late 18th century, I think, and the miscellaneous letters which cover have been scribed all at once, and they cover land claims and patents based on British Crown claims to various parts of Virginia. So I'm actually going to use the toggle screen button at the top here, just so we can toggle this full screen. I just want to have a look at this letter here. So we can see here this letter's been scribed as the 23rd of May 1610. And I found this when I was doing some research about the establishment of first colonies in Virginia. And this is, I think, potentially a letter referring to the British claim to this area. And I think one of the earliest letters we have in this first module. And I also wanted just to give you an idea of some of the qualities of the scans as well. As a lot of this is manuscript material, we've made sure that the quality of the scans is absolutely paramount, so that we can get in really close and we can read this. So there we are. So we can see here, actually, I think this is a letter from King James I, if I'm correct. And I assume, as I'm just reading now, it seems to be a letter addressing adventurers and planters heading to the first colony of Virginia. And it's effectively a vote of confidence, I think, for asserting British claim to this area of East Coast America that's first having British flags laid upon. So there we are, that's one letter. So once we're in the image viewer here, we can use these plus and minuses, or you can just use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out of the document itself. Head back to the home page, you can toggle full screen. If it's a letter that's got sideway notes in the margin, for example, you can rotate the page so you can get a much better view of those sorts of things. And if this is an individual page that you think is going to be useful for you at a later date, you can use what's called a Lightbox. And it's very much the same as a personal repository as we saw on the document details page. However, this will save just the individual page. So it saves you having to remember which page you were trying to research, and it saves you not having to keep the entire document on your shelf. You can just have that individual page, come back to it at a later date. So I'm going to head back to the document details page. We can run another search now. So I'm actually going to use the search bar in the top right hand corner here. I'm just going to run a really basic search for native. By the way, just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat window. I can try my best to answer them, and or we can deal with them in the end, and hopefully give you guys a really full idea about what the full scope of this resource. So we can see here I've run a search for native, quite a refined set of results actually. Just going to scroll down, just to give you an idea of some of the types of material. So you can see here, yeah, we can look at maybe the Colonial region that they apply to. Now, some material, this letter here I found earlier, which I found quite interesting. So, document details page here, yeah, we can see all of our metadata. I'm just going to click into start of the letter here. Now what this is a letter from a man called Robert Dimwitty, and it was written in, I think, 1754, I could be wrong, 1755. Now Robert Dimwitty was the governor of Colonial Virginia at this point in 1755. And this is effectively a letter describing local relations with an American Indian tribe and how the English settlers, developed a relationship with them. So for American Indian scholars as well, this is a fantastic resource, as well as our other American history resources that have fantastic material on American Indian history. This is another one just to add to the roster, mainly covering the more colonial period, as you can imagine. So I'm just going to toggle full screen so we can get a better look at this letter. You can see that the army's been employed at building a barracks at Wills Creek. In November, several chiefs of our friends friendly Indians, perhaps. So effectively it's describing relationships between the local army base and the American Indian local population. So that's just a letter I quite like. Quite found that earlier. Head back to the document details page. Okay, so probably got time to show one more document just before we head into the other bits and bobs that this resource has to offer. I'm actually going to head to the documents page itself. You can either run a search using either the advanced search or the basic search bar in the top hand corner here. But if you're just starting out, just browsing material is going to be a really good starting point for you. So I'm actually just going to browse by document type, and I just want to have a look at let's say newspapers. So I'm just going to apply that filter. We can have a look at all of the newspapers in module 1 of this resource. Now I'm going to have a look at the South Carolina Gazette. Now, as I mentioned before, the vast majority of this material is handwritten. However, there is a small majority of printed material, which is all full text searchable, such as this. Toggle this full screen so we can have a look at this Carolina Gazette from 1754. There we are. So there is a really interesting range of printed newspapers in this resource, which are well worth checking out. So I'm going to head back to the home page now. Now I just want to quickly show you the map gallery. As well as having all of our maps within the main documents list itself, and they're all fully searchable and fully indexed with metadata, we do draw them out and copy them across to a separate map gallery as well. And we find this is a really great tool for both teaching and maybe researchers who just want to get a bit more visual material, whether that's for a Blackboard site, a presentation that they're doing, a number of reasons. So this map gallery we can refine by the colony or region it applies to, or a theme. Let's have a look at this one here. So we just pull the metadata down here. You can see that this is a map of land claims in, where does it say? Vermont, New Hampshire, New York. Okay, so based in the northeast. We see Rochester there. Pull the metadata down again. So each map has metadata in this pull down window here, and you can quickly flick between maps using the arrows here. You can add this to your Lightbox if you want to save it for later, or you can download it and add it to either your Blackboard site or a teaching portfolio you're putting together for a certain class or a certain course. That is absolutely fine, and we find it's extremely popular with teachers as well. So that's just a really quick look at the map gallery. I'm conscious we're running low on time, so I'm going to head really quickly into the Explore tab here. Now this is a really useful tab to provide many introduction and contextual tools for your research. So if you're a lower level undergraduate, or maybe you're hitting a roadblock with your research, maybe this is going to be a really good, really useful set of tools for you as a researcher or a teacher. And this government structure chart we've had feedback that has been extremely useful. So you can use the timeline across the top here. So if we head across to, let's say, 1740. So then we can see every single important position and who occupies it around this decade. Governors for each of the main principalities. There we are. So a really useful tool, should hopefully give researchers a bit of context when they're delving through the material itself. Let's head back to that Explore tab quickly. We also have a range of biographies, academic essays written by our academic editorial board, as well as a full list of popular searches and external links should you wish to carry on your research somewhere else. So that is a really quick overview of Module 1. The CO5 file run is absolutely a vital set of papers for the study of colonial America, for the study of slavery, of relationships with American Indians, trade, military and naval material over the 17th and 18th century. It's just absolutely endless in its scope, really. So that is it from me. Absolutely, please feel free to request a free trial, and that goes to everybody here. If you've seen material today that looks of interest to you, please feel free to request a trial. Get to know the material a little bit more, and hopefully you can find something useful to you. And okay, well, that's it from me. I'm going to end things here.